Okay, you guys, we're going to get right into it. We're going to use that black ribbon I just showed you. We're going to be working on the sketch on our left side there. And this is the papers and everything that we're going to be using. Now, the only thing I created was this first mat, so we're going to be cutting everything as we go this week. I'm using a stamp from Scruffy Little Cat. It's the Crafter's Companion stamp. I got it a long time ago, so I don't even know if it's still available. But I'm just, they had a paper pack that kind of went with it, and that's the papers that I'm using. So right now, I'm using the A2 card, and what I did was I cut a white paper to the size of 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then I went up another eighth, or subtracted another eighth for the black border, which is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so all I did was take an 1/8 inch off from the 5 1/2 and 4 1/4 sizes until I got to my decorative paper, which I've already put down, and now I'm attaching the ribbon to it. Okay, now the reason why I did this is because I wanted to see how much room after I laid my ribbon I would have for that one piece that had the 3 brads on it. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of looking to see where I want it to go, and then I measured it, and you're going to see that I go into, or put it into the trimmer a couple of times, because my greatest fear is cutting too much off. So I'd rather err on the side of caution, cut it a little bit longer, check it. If it's still too long, cut like another 1/8 of an inch off, check it, and just keep going backwards and forth until I get it to the size that I was happy with, which wound up being 3 3/4 inch for the black matte piece by 1 3/4. And then the decorative paper that I put on top of that, I made it, so if the black matte was 3 3/4, I made the decorative paper 3 1/2 by 1 1/2. Okay, and we're just cutting the matte, and now we're getting ready to cut that top piece I was just telling you, which once again, that one was 3 1/2 by 1 1/2. Now for our centerpiece, once I got those two cut, I moved the board again, tape it down, and I'm just using my tape runner. Once we get it down even, then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over and get it attached to this mat that we're using. Now the next step, I'm going to go ahead and lay in, or not lay in, but I'm going to punch the holes in to add our brads, so that way I know where my focal piece is going to lay. So I'm just getting my piercing mat, and I'm going to go ahead and punch my holes. And if you're worried about them being even and perfect, then go ahead and measure it and make you some tick marks, and then punch the holes. I wasn't that concerned, so I just punched my holes, and then I'm putting them in one at a time. I was trying to do them all at once, but they all fell out. Trying to be quick, and it didn't work. So we're just going to go ahead and put in the last one. Alright, so then once I have it set up, I figured out where I wanted to put my focal piece. And so for the black mat that we're going to use for that, I measured out 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, and that's for the black mat. And then for our white focal image, what we're going to be stamping on, we made that one 3 inches by 2.5. So you have a couple of different ways, which I'm sure a lot of you know, where you can either mat your images or mat your focal points, focal images, excuse me, by either a 1/4 inch, you can do 1/8 of an inch. If you want a big border, you can do 1/2 inch. Depending on how much you make the border will determine, you know, how much of the mat that you see. So like as I'm coming up on from the bottom, which is the card base, I'm using 1/8 of an inch because I don't want that. I want to see more of my decorative paper underneath the I guess the top 3 images. You know what I mean? I want to see more of that pattern. And then on those, I used 1/2 inch, or not 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch border on my top 2 layer pieces. So there's our lady with my hello friend sentiment. And I was going to leave it there and leave her just as a stamped image. And then I was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and color it. So I went away for a moment and colored her in. And I used my clean color real brush pens, the zig markers, and colored her in real quick, and then attached them here. And part of the stamp, there's like a perfume bottle, and part of it got on top there. So what I did was I got a big gem and put it on top of it, and then added 2 other gems, like I, you know, purposely set it up that way. And then added 3 more up in the upper right, because there was a whole lot of white over there. I don't know what it is. I know a lot of times I just can't handle a lot of white space. So I added the 3 different sizes, small, medium, and the larger gemstone, and then I added 1 more in the bottom right. And then I'm going to hold it up close. Alright, so to get this attached to our base, I'm going to put the scotch tape along over top of the brads and the ribbon, so that way it'll make it easier for the tape ATG tape gun to glide over it. And then once I get that taped up, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to my A2 card. Now this one is a top folding card, okay? So instead of doing it, I guess the more traditional way, we're doing it where it's a top folding card. Alright, and then once we get it evened up and attached, the card is complete. And oh, what I'll do is I'll put a link down below for the Sweet and Sassy website, so that way you guys can go and see the different sketches that they may have there. This one is SSS09. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me today, and I hope that you have a great weekend, and I'll see you in our next video.